All right, hello everyone. This is Josh, also known as Yashu. You're just tuning into another episode of the TLOY Talks podcast. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more. Also, check it out on Patreon as well, with like different tiers and all that. Every tier that you have has like different perks. You know, for the highest one, you could even get like a video call of me. Like I could call you, say happy birthday or happy new year, or like just like a promo saying thank you and all that. And yeah, definitely check it out. You'll get like exclusive content from there. And yeah, I'm just gonna get it like started right here. So we have a male model who's been prevalent around like the Toronto industry for a while, and this is something like kind of like a breath of fresh air for the pod and all that. And, no, you don't really have like a lot of like models that come in here, but hey, this is like the first one, and we have a Rico Rare, also known as like Big Rico, in the building. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I am doing well. How you doing, brother?
I've been doing all right, man. Like it's a Thursday night and all that, just enjoying life and all that. Like, did like a cheers for the most part too with the Hornitos, and then everything else too. We also have like twisted tea as well too. So
Keep it kosher, right?
yeah, man. And I think I could definitely say this too. You're like the first one on the pod that is eating like clementines and all that too. That's like something very rare.
Brother, honestly, I didn't eat today. I had to have something. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I do like my clementine.
Yeah, man. Good vitamin C, lots of energy and all that, like prepares you like for the best. So
Appreciate it.
and I think calcium as well too. So it's pretty interesting. So yeah, man. But I wanna like dive deep, like since this is like something that's like kind of like new to me, like having like a model like on the pod and all that.
I'm here to keep it real with you today.
Yeah, man. So where'd you grow up, and what was it like for you growing up, like the environment and all that?
So, a lot of people don't know I was born in Brooklyn, and I would consider myself raised in Galloway, where we called away. But going back and forth, you asked me what it's like, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, is a mix of two things, right? New York, Toronto is like two melting pots, right? So a lot of cultures involved, but then also I was definitely raised to be like a victim. Like I was definitely told like, I have two strikes against me, I have to work 10 times harder than everybody else, and I did live my life, a good portion of my life. Everything is the only bad things happen to me because of my skin. And that's kind of how I was raised.
No, I definitely hear that. No, and I don't know if this is like Bed-Stuy or like Marcy Projects.
I'm from Brownsville.
Oh, Brownsville? Oh, true.
Mm.
So yeah, like I know like the hoods there, it's like a very interesting like melting pot too, with the Caribbean culture and like everything else too, and like even like the idea of like the concrete jungle and all that too, because like you've had like music, you've had like other people like kind of getting involved in the street life and all that, epidemics. So it's a different vibe and all that too. So with Brownsville versus like Galloway, like what would like the different like ideas be and all that?
When you say ideas, you mean like the way we behave, culture, or what do you mean?
Just like the lifestyle, the environment, like all that sort of stuff.
A lot of people probably won't believe it when it comes from me, but it's very similar. The accent's different, the accent and the foot traffic is different. So if you're an entrepreneur, the foot traffic is 10 times Toronto. But outside of that, the way we talk, just the accent, I mean, everybody, I find Toronto people are very diverse. There's flashy people, there's people that are business oriented, there's people that are professional, there's people that work, there's people who don't want to work. Same thing with New York.
Okay.
And that's borough to borough. But I will say, I think a lot of people think Canada is like, I don't know, I don't want to use the word soft, but like we say sorry a lot. But I want to let them know like Canadians don't, just because they say sorry don't mean it means sorry. Sometimes it's just a little gesture.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like one step, to kind of get like in the next way and all that too.
Yeah.
I think the UK has like that same thing as well too. But as well, like when did you move to Toronto?
I was very young, so I started school out here for sure. But I was back and forth. I can't give you the exact year.
Oh yeah, no worries.
But what the term they gave me was, I'm a Canadian born abroad.
All right.
Because I came so early. So I don't really get it. Because but I get it. Do you understand what I mean when they say Canadian born abroad?
Yeah.
Because I was here that young, yeah.
Yeah, man. Nah, I mean, because like around that time too, like because this is also the same time, like when music started to come up like a little bit more with like 9/11, with the war in Iraq, like a lot of stuff too. So
Oh yeah.
I guess like even like those like lifestyles, like going from there and back, it's like very different because with Canada, it was like very open to having like a lot of like multiculturalism and all that, immigration, everything else too, even with the weird Harper era versus in America when Bush was in office, like for 2 terms and all that too. Like it was like hard to like even walk around the street for a bit, and like it didn't like ease down to like the late like 2000s and all that.
Well, now that you mention that, I do think that Canada is diverse to a certain degree, but I also do think that Canada hides its racism behind that diversity, right? I want to say racism. I mean, it's a specific group right now in this current
Yeah,
time
yeah,
that is being discriminated against,
yeah,
and it's just simply because of color. You know what I mean? And and it's just funny, like we be the first ones to be like, oh, we're the most diverse, multicultural, but then be trashing on these
yeah,
certain group of people, and I don't stand for it, to be
yeah.
honest, because I wouldn't like it if it happened to me, so I shouldn't do it to you.
Yeah.
And that's how I try to live my life. I try to do good by people, if that make like.
Yeah,
And that don't make and that also doesn't. And when people hear me say that, they also they kind of get this little God complex thing where I'm putting myself next to like an angel or a god or something like that in whatever they think.
yeah.
But I'm not. I'm just saying that I would like to do good by people regardless of how they're doing me.
That's facts, man.
That's what I want to put out
Yeah,
into
no,
the world.
I definitely agree too. And I mean, even like there's like other like cultures as well too, like within that specific like race, nationality, and all that are catching like strays too, like Tamils, Pakistanis, and all that, Bengalis, and all that.
Oh,
And
yep,
they're like
strays.
very like different cultures, but like they're just like grouped into like this like one culture. And now it's like you're gonna have to like fend that like either way too. But I think if you do like if everyone like also grew up in like Toronto like in some way too, everyone would know the difference between like a Pakistani versus like a Bengali versus like an Indian, like all that sort of stuff too. But
I agree. Depending on the part of Toronto you grew up in, though.
yeah,
Because honestly, like, for me, I was around, I would say, when it comes to being multicultural in Toronto, there's a lot of people that I didn't see in Toronto. Like, without pointing out specific groups of people, there's a lot of people that I wasn't around in Toronto. And when I tell people a lot of my classes, the people in my classes didn't look like me. And I went to school in Scarborough, I went to school in Brooklyn. I was probably one of 2 people in the class that looked like me, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's supposed to be so much people that look like you, which is for other people's experience, but I was around people who didn't look like me. So for me, my parents are telling me certain things, my families are telling me certain things, but when I go to class, it don't look like me. So we're all sitting together and we're, I don't want to say learning each other, but we are learning each other, and we're coming, I wouldn't say as one, but we're understanding each other to a different degree than what our parents taught us. I don't know what what their parents taught them. Let me talk about me, right? What I was taught.
I mean, Galloway too. Like Galloway, I remember. I think one of the most like epic moments like going on there was the violence that happened like at Danzig at the time too, and all that. And like,
Yeah.
I know like that era kind of changed like the idea of the street culture and everything else like going on in like Scarborough like for a while and all that, and like even like gun violence too. So
Yeah.
and then I mean, there was like a lot of like notable people from like Galloway, like P Rain, Drake's people were like at Galway for the most part too. So even growing up there, was it like big like within the creative scene like at the time, or just like a community and all that?
When you say creative, you mean like entertainment,
Like music, entertainment.
Not when I was a kid. Not when I was a kid. It was just people living, and then there was like gangsters. You know what I'm talking about? And the gangster stuff, you didn't really see it unless people got caught for what they was doing.
Yeah.
That's what I see is the big difference now, as you see Drake puts on a whole hood.
Yeah.
But what I saw was they didn't really stay there. They kind of went other places and did other things. But even then, they were still labeled G-Way boys.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Galloway boys. I don't like giving excuses for people to do bad things, regardless of their skin color. I don't care for your skin color. When it comes to support, when it comes to you doing good, I just want to see everybody doing good, especially doing good by others, right? So I can't excuse the behavior, but that is the environment I was raised in. Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you think it's like kind of like like a lack of like fathers like in the household too, or like just like a lack of like a role model, like within that sense too. Like they kind of like look at the streets and all that, like as like the role model. Like it's like kind of obvious, you know.
I would like to just say that because that would be an easy band-aid, but a lot of the guys there have both parents. You know, it would be like half and half, in my opinion. So, yes, fathers are absolutely important, and that's one thing I do try to strive on when it comes to my message, right? Families, not fathers, but families, right? It's hard to say that, you know, this fatherless people are making the streets worse or whatever the case is, because I don't see it that way. You know, I see, and first and foremost, being from the streets, what happens a lot of times and people don't notice or even speak up on it is a lot of times it's people from other places. Sometimes it's the burbs, sometimes, you know, maybe just down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
But they come to your place, they make trouble, and they go back home where they safe. So sometimes it's not even whether it has to do with the neighborhood or the hood, whatever you call it. Sometimes it's just people that people do what they can do because they can't do it. If someone's allowing somebody to do it, they're gonna do it probably. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's facts. 'Cause I know with Danzig, like I know like there were like a lot of people that wanted like answers like in regards to that too, because even at the time, you know, there was like social media wasn't as like rampant as much too. Like there wasn't like a
Yes, that's what I'm
Reddit,
saying.
all that type of stuff too. So you know, basically they had to like kind of like cover their tracks and all that too, and like the only people that kind of had to solve the situation was the police and all that too. But like there were like like other factors that kind of like resolved the matter too and all that. Like and I wouldn't say like you know like even like tougher policing too, but like even like the importance of a neighborhood watch, like that could have like prevented like a lot of stuff from happening. Even like the whole like dancing stuff and all that too. But even then, like I don't know if you were like affected by dancing at some point in your life or like you know like that
Affected by the shooting or affected by dancing itself?
just the shooting.
Was I affected by it? I definitely knew the people that passed. I was supposed to be there that night. Luckily, I didn't end up going. Got a message with my ride on my way to me, and they said, "Yo, check the news." But the effect it had on me is that I knew the people there, right? Down to the kids, to the adults. So, and then this is the thing a lot of us don't speak about when we speak about these types of situations. Our cousins live in these other hoods. Our aunties, our uncles, our mothers, our cousins, right? So a lot of times when we speak about these things, we just talk about the beef, but we don't really realize most of these people are actually family. And what it does is it puts a stain on family because now you force people to make a decision. Now you have to pick who are you willing to choose your family over where you live and not be safe? Or like the game is the game, and I wish we could do better. But for right now, I know that the streets are the streets and we make decisions every day, right? And going back to fathers and not having fathers, our parents are going to lead us down certain paths, right? And whether we decide to listen to them or not is all on us. So I don't like when people try to blame it on their parents, right? Because at a certain age, like I'm a big man now. How do I look saying to my mom, this is the fault for what I'm doing outside of the house? I don't know, I see it differently because I like to hold people to their decisions. I don't care about the environment you were raised in because you know what? We all were raised in an environment that we can say, I would like it to be better. No matter how good your environment was, you would like it to be better, right? But the things we do on that road to being an adult, to being a big man, a big woman, or whatever the case is, those are the things that are going to lead us down the past all these things that we say is in our past. And that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's facts. I definitely agree too. And like, I know with even like the autonomy of like the brain and all that, like, because like the brain, it doesn't really develop until like age like 25. Some it might be like different from for others, like based on gender, based on like societal norms, all that sort of stuff too. But like usually, like even like when you think about like the kids too, like their brains are still like developing. An 18, 19-year-old young adult still like developing in that sense too. But like technically they still know better, like in that sense too, you know, even with the situation too. But and I mean, it all depends on like factors too, like based on like even like influences and other stuff too, like other stuff too. So, but like that's like something that people have to take like account for and all that, and realize there's like other like influences like taking in that part too. So it could be like even like reinforcing that idea and like shifting back to reality. You know better. Take accountability, all that sort of stuff too. So
we need to bring back shame. We need to bring back shame.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah. We are so far from shaming people that's why everything is okay right now. Like for an example, and I hate to use this one as an example, the lady's gonna hate me, but if you were to just up and divorce, you would be shamed.
Yeah.
Today, that is absolutely celebrated. Don't stay there. That is absolutely celebrated. That's what I mean. Like things like that. Like, and I'll say this too, right? I'll use America as an example for this one. Life changed when we took, and it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or whether you believe in Jesus, whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter. But when we took God out of America, we seen a big change. Families were no longer having dinner together. And it's not that you have to believe in God. I'm not telling you to do that, right? You do what you want to do. But I'm just saying when certain things were taken away from certain countries, we seen a complete change.
Yeah.
And change isn't bad, but it shouldn't cause a disruption. Just something simple like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's facts. I definitely agree. And, growing up, what were you like from the start until now and all that?
I was a louder version of me right now. Louder, rambunctious, and I brought up the victim thing earlier just to let you know that nothing was my fault. That's how I truly felt growing up. But, honestly, I would never trade my childhood. I enjoyed my childhood, and when I look at today compared to my childhood, I think certain things were given to me at certain times, and I agree with them. You know what I'm saying? I never even knew or heard of what porn was till a certain age.
Oh, shit.
These kids, they're seeing it very early. You know what I mean? Like certain things was given to me at an appropriate age. These kids got cell phones at 2 and 3.
iPads too.
Yeah, that's like, even though we may have had dial-up, I should say me, because, right, everybody got a different era, right? But I still didn't have access to a computer for me to do that. Like I had access to a computer when it was deemed to be the right time for me, right? So basically high school.
Yeah.
Grade 8 going into grade 9 was probably my first time owning a computer. And it wasn't mine, actually. I think it was somebody in the house, right? But
yeah.
I had access to it. That was the first time.
Yeah, that's facts. I didn't start owning like my first like computer until like 18, and that was like a school like laptop and all that. And then I didn't really get like a laptop of my own until I'd say 2020. So right now I'm like 28 right now. So probably like 22, 23 around that time. So got like my first actual laptop that I had on my own, not from the school, nothing like that, and totally different experience and all that too, But yeah, like even growing up too, because like it also like depends on the cultures, families, like how you're like raised and all that too. Because like some families have like strict conditions on like what you should be, like go to school, all that type of stuff too. Others, it's like you do what you want and do what you like, see like what works for you, but you're still gonna have to like live in my house under my rules and all that too until like 18 and all that.
So how do you feel about that though?
About the idea of like autonomy and all that, and like
what you just said, like some kids have to go to school, some kids don't. Like not how do you feel about it? What is your preference for your own?
I feel like for me, like I know when I do like look at school too, like it did bring some structure into what you need to do to succeed in life too, and like it all depends on like the right choices that you make in the idea of education. Like, are you like looking at something that's like plausible, that's something that could be like effective and all that too, or are you like looking to something that can make you happy? And sometimes too, having something that makes you happy doesn't make anything like feasible, like in that sense too. Like initially I actually wanted to be a teacher growing up and all that too, like because of the environment that I was like raised in. Like I was only seeing like teachers, like for the most part too, teachers, principals. I didn't really see like the outside world as much too. Like I would see like doctors and other people as well too, but like I didn't really take everything in until like when I got like a bit more older and all that. But because like when I was like exposed to having a teacher like almost like every single day, it kind of honed in on my idea of like wanting to teach, helping like people and all that. Then fast forward, told my mom I wanted to be a teacher, like grade 9, grade 10. She said, "Hey, can't do that, because like teachers make worse like money nowadays too." And then kind of depressed me, kind of got me like in this like weird rut and all that. So I was trying to find something that I could be like very capable of, like, and it was like kind of like the idea of like the law, government type stuff, and studied it for a bit too. Went to university for that specific program. Kind of worked out for a bit too, but like not to the extent of like how I wanted to like look at it. And then when I got a camera at like age like 21ish and all that too, like 21, 22. Kind of took my idea of like wanting to do like photography, videography, and that was like kind of like a side thing that I kind of like loved, that just started to take in, like learn, and just kind of worked out from there. And it's all based on who could like lead you in the right direction, and what could be like the best for you, because like even with the law and government, like you'd still make good money. Teachers, it's hit or miss sometimes too, and like even with the provincial government, like I know they're having it tough right now with like teachers too. So, but even then, even if I wanted to still continue on like being a teacher, it would still have to be like a long journey. Like ahead, you have to go to school, going to find something that might be suited within like your trade. So most teachers either have like a BSc or like a BA and all that, and like it all depends on the program, and you have to see how it works and all that. Like I knew like people who were like in criminology, they're now teachers now. So it all depends on the matter.
I definitely think teachers should be paid more. It'll never make sense to me that like teachers are supposed to lead the future, and then we say, "Yo, can you afford $1 drink?" Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand the culture that we have, because we be preaching socialism so much, and then we kind of only take care of firefighters and cops.
Yeah,
it don't make sense to me.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that like even with like a lot of the high schools and all that too, like when you go to like there's like schools like Bloor Collegiate and like Central Tech, and like even
Central Tech is still around?
Yeah.
Maybe Tech, I'm thinking of a different let's start with a C.
Central Technical School. It's by like Bathurst and Harvard, I think. And then there's like other schools like Danforth
Commerce.
Tech.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so there's like schools like that, and like basically they have to like populate the school, because like a lot of the students from feeder schools, their schools kind of had to be torn down, or they were like decommissioned, and even like classroom sizes, like they're bigger by like the day, depending on like what like stream like you're learning in. So like you won't get that much like interaction time with the teacher, and like even like there's like a limited like amount of like resources too. Like the bathrooms are 100% still the same. It's not modern and all that. And there were like teachers that were complaining to the provincial government that they get like beat up from other students. They get attacked by like special needs students, all that sort of stuff too. And like it's like in the news and everything else too. And like, they're trying to make that change to get protected, to kind of get like the money to kind of foster in that great environment. But they're looking at the green belts and everything else too, like more condos, and that kind of like leads to how teachers are going through like depression right now. They have to get like second, third jobs and all that to kind of pay off like whatever's like needed, and like like whatever the making's like not as much anymore and all that. And even like teachers' aides, because there's like a limited amount that could like help students, and it affects like how the students are like very affected too, because like now
absolutely
a lot of these kids are moving on to the YN status. They're like looking at like TVs as like influences and all that sort of stuff too, IG, social media, and like that's where you're seeing like a lot of like kids like crash out like every day, because the school system is like so messed up to not allow these like kids to like learn and nourish, and like the others that are trying to like learn and nourish, like they're trying to find like other schools that can protect them, to can only focus on that. And sometimes it's hard, because either you're gonna have to pay like 30, 40 grand, like, for 1 year semester to kind of like taking that like education, or you're going to have to go to the outskirts of town to kind of find proper education. So
when it comes to education, I have a question just for you though. Do you find there's so much agendas when it comes to the parents that like it's kind of hard to stick to?
Yeah, it is spot on too because parents they don't want to teach their kids about sex, but the school has to teach about sex like either way,
Mm.
and like now it's causing like a lot of complaints too, like on how they're teaching their kids and what should be right, what should not be right, and all that. Even this happened like I think back in 2018, 2019. Doug Ford signed like an appeal or like in order to only teach a very condensed older version of health education for like high school students and like middle school students instead of the current ones that actually can't help them because they feel like there's like too much of an agenda from said parties, even though it's like something that these kids might have to learn these days, because a lot of kids are confused. They're seeing like a lot of mediums like TV, social media, all that sort of stuff to explain like certain things to, and like they're taking that in. They're going to Google, going to like whatever sort of YouTube channel, like learning more. Like they're using YouTube as like a learning like mechanism than any other platform because like the education system that they have is like so outdated and so flawed out that like some of the practices aren't even as feasible like anymore. Like it's not something that's kind of more advanced, like more modern nowadays too. It's the stuff that you're seeing on YouTube, Google, all that sort of stuff too, and and there's like kind of like an uproar, like what should you teach my child versus what should only stay in school and all that, because like even the idea of like math, like you don't need to teach like trigonometry, geometry, all that sort of
Not
stuff
to
too.
the average person.
Yeah.
I agree.
Even like calculus too and all that.
For sure.
There should be like other programs like how to do like accounting and all that. How to do like taxes, like how to do stuff that is feasible in an environment where you're growing up, because like that's something that you're gonna need. Like you're gonna have to know how to handle your CPP, how to handle like your EI, all that sort of stuff too. You don't need to learn how to find like the square root of like 48 or 49 or whatever and all that. Like that's not, unless you're going into construction or like some sort of like engineering.
Absolutely.
Like no one's gonna use that,
So what do you think about Borden? Do you remember Borden?
Sir Robert Borden?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know about him.
What about those No, I'm talking about the school.
Oh, the high school.
The high school in Scarborough, yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember that school? They shut it down a couple years ago.
I know the name, but I haven't actually been to the school. Like I went to St. Commerce actually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this school, they basically closer to their ending, they had a lot of courses that you're referring to, right? That are more based on like average people that will be living like certain things like taxes and whatnot. They were probably the first one with like the coding and stuff like that. What do you agree with the courses like that?
Yeah, I think it could have, it actually is, very feasible and something that's like well like recommended and needed in order to live like a good life and all that too. Like even my high school back then, we had a course called like personal finance, which is like a grade 12 university course where like not a lot of people can like get into it, but it's something that I want to recommend to. And we learned about like the credit card system, how to like handle like insurance and all that, how to handle like certain payments, how to do certain pitches, like even like finding the 5 ways to like find out about insurance, the vitays and all that, and like everything else too, which something that has a gratuity, all that sort of stuff too. And it's like something that actually does like help out in the future too, because like if you're trying to like get a car and all that, if you're trying to buy a house and all that, it's like something that you do have to like look at like the 5 like factors to getting good insurance or defining like a good credit card and all that, finding like the interest rates, all that sort of stuff too, how to calculate, certain amounts, and it all works out either way too. Even with the Robert Borden thing, with the like tech coding, like that's like the same in like every other high school too. They have computer science. They also do, I think there's like some like also some business classes like intro to business management, accounting, like accounting
introduction
like,
courses.
Yeah. And they also help out in knowing how to do finance like properly and all that too, like knowing how to handle like withdrawals versus like liabilities and like also like assets and all that too, and even deposits. So even like figuring out like the whole like boarding system, doing it like one by one. You're doing it like by like the date and all that and the time. You're not doing it like just like nilly and all that. It's something that's like very like recommended, and I think everyone should like take in and all that. So
you're saying they have these right now in high schools?
Yeah, in high schools. Yeah, they
like
still
on average high school.
Yeah, at a regular high school. So yeah.
Oh, That's actually really good. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I think it was in the advertisement.
Yeah, I think some kids are taking it right now, but like a lot of kids want to do science and whatnot or drama. Depends on the student, but either way. To kind of get back onto like track for a bit too. How did you get into modeling and what inspired you to even do that and take it seriously?
Um, so it kind of starts a few years ago, but then I stopped. Right, so I won a competition for Adidas, and from there, it led to a sponsorship with Adidas, and it lasted for almost a year and a half.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. So I mean, I felt like I was a model at the time, but I was a lot bigger too. So I was probably 250 at the time. So this is why I say I have a lot of, my mind will be skewed on certain things because, I'm 250 and then I just happen to win this thing and become a model at that time, right? So that happens, it goes, and now we get to 2024, right? And like I told you, I lost the Instagram already. They shut that Instagram down, and it was almost 20K, and I built that from the ground up, right? And last year, I'm like, you know what? I got a closet full of clothes. I got a storage full of clothes. I got a lot of shoes. Just, I mean, if you want to build your platform again, you can just show them your clothes. Like, cause I'm not a guy. I don't like doing skits. I don't like stuff like that. I just like being me. One take. That's what I did. One take. That was one of the segments I would hold. Right. So I started in May with I think 200 followers, and I just said, you know what? Let's do 100 days. I didn't do 100 days straight. It's really hard. I don't know how y'all be doing it out there, but you know what? Sorry. I probably did maybe 15-day increments, right? And it was working. And I just started to have people, photographers or people that are hosting events, like the networking events I was telling you earlier, where it's like, 10 models, 10 photographers, and they'll have makeup artists and stuff like that. And I started getting invited to stuff like that, which led to me getting paid again. And obviously, like, if you look at the page, I was never really happy with the growth. Like, obviously, I want more, right? I always want like the maximum, right? But I know that I'm always gonna be happy with what I built because it's real. Like what you said earlier, no bots, right? Like this is people that I either know or met, or I want to know or meet. So that's how I kind of got back into it in 2024. Just 100 days. Let me see what I can do to build this page, and then it kind of stuck because. But I want to say I'm not a model. I'm a stylist, right? The reason why I'm modeling currently is because I have a lot of styles right now that a lot of people aren't willing to do. Because what I used to do is a lot different than what I do now. Because there's so much more I'm willing to do now, which a lot of people aren't willing to do right now. Right? So for some of the things I'm doing, I am making sure I do it just because some people don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm absolutely, like, the goal is to be a stylist. That's what I've been. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Right? But I happen to be modeling at the same time.
Yeah, that's facts. And I mean, the fit that you have, it's actually pretty interesting too because it's like, business casual, but like a little flare. It's like the hood and all that too with the hat.
Listen, I hate when I say it, but it's how it is. Like, I do try to incorporate the streets in whatever I'm wearing because it's just different looks. Like I have 3 looks that I grew up always wanting: the rock star look, the biker look, and then there's the streets, right? And then obviously the professional, right? And I think I mixed them all. At least 2 of them. That's kind of how I feel about my style. But also I'll go so far left with my style because to me they're just threads. Like, the way people may view me means nothing. It's just threads, literally just threads to me. And I view myself as a walking canvas.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, even with the threads too, it's like made from a kid from China or a kid from like India or Indonesia. Like, that's like making like what, like 5-10 like cents like per like clothing and all that too. Like they're not making as like much like a day. Like sometimes they might even get like $1 a day, $2 a day, and all that. So
And that's what I've been diving into more since last year. Because you know what, it's always in my mind, but I don't think I ever realized until I actually did a deep dive into understanding that this industry is really messed up.
yeah.
Well, it's not this industry, it's any industry, right? Like we just every industry just overproducing, and the average mind, we don't know it. We don't know where our stuff is ending up. Especially if we don't buy it, we don't know where it's ending up, right? So it's like, I'm glad you brought it up, because when we throw things away, we don't even know what away is.
Yeah.
Where's away? We actually don't have an away.
I mean, it goes like straight to the fucking dump, goes, or sometimes to a recyclable like plant where they retake everything, reprocess it, and then send it off to like a friggin' price
Sometimes
choppers.
their reprocessing is burning, putting it back into our atmosphere,
exactly.
or and a lot of it kind of just ends up on the shores of third world countries.
Yeah.
So, and that's why the textile business is so big, because so much waste. The only thing with this conversation with me, I can't ever find a solution other than just not producing as many things.
Yeah.
But is that a solution?
You have to figure it out yourself and all that, It's like more, you have to figure out like what might be best for you to wear and like what might be best to kind of have like safe clothing and all that, like it's like made with like pure intention and all that. It's not made within the guise of like a slave owner or like a militant like putting a gun on a 10-year-old's like kid, like all that type of stuff.
But this is the question that I have for you, right? So I have a tailor, right? My tailor makes a lot of pieces for me, right? Like one of these, right? And I don't think it changes the trajectory of what you're saying, because he's building it from threads.
Yeah.
Because the threads are still made by what you're talking about, right? So it's like I really don't have a solution in my brain. And I hate when I don't have a solution, because I can't stop the companies from making all this extra product because they expect it to be made money on it, right? And plus, a lot of franchising happens. So they make extra because somebody gonna pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's the company or the client.
Exactly.
Somebody gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
And then it just ends up in places it's not supposed to be. So I would just urge people out there to just, when you say you throw something away, define the word away. Just let's start there. Then maybe we could figure out some kind of solution. Because right now, Big Rico has nothing. Because I'm not in control of what's happening with that, right? But I see it. And when I did my deep dive, I'm just like, holy moly. It's that much waste we be doing. Yeah, and throw away the fashion. Throw away all of that. Food. Everything is on a just what a store throws away. Think about what your house throws away in a year. It's actually that much. And we keep having to find new places to put it. They be digging deep holes, putting it in. They be putting it in the atmosphere. We're burning it. There's so much different methods that they have. A lot of people don't know they be throwing it in the ocean. That's why it ends up in shores like Africa, shores like Africa's a continent. I'm sorry, but I'm using it. Europe. It ends up a lot of places in Asia, right? Especially in the Caribbean too. And there's no actual way of India for sure is like, I don't know. That's like the most I've seen in any one place. Yeah. And it's not right. You're destroying people who live there, the land, the water. And it's like, the problem with speaking about is I don't have a solution. That's my problem. Yeah, exactly. That's my problem. I don't have a solution. I hate it.
Yeah, exactly. And like even like the way of life too, I'll even like add that too, because even when you go to India or when you go to China or when you go to like other parts too, like there's gonna be high cases of malaria, pollution, all that sort of stuff. So like even like India, like their pollution really like didn't change through until the start of COVID. Like that's when like the air pollution kind of reduced to I think like 40-50% too, because everyone's like at home inside. It's not like from like these like excess like rusts of like old like vehicles and all that too that are kind of outdated and like not even like feasible like to like drive and all that and but even when you try to negate that force too, like remove the pandemic, all that sort of stuff to like go back to normal, it just kind of reinforces like these like old trends, even though it's important to kind of like live like a normal life and all that too. I think with the pandemic and all that, like it changed the idea of like force of like respecting the environment and like respecting you know, the way like life is too, like even like
Mhm.
valuing like certain things too, because
Mhm.
even when that pandemic happened, like you've seen like foxes, coyotes, like raccoons
Before the pandemic, right?
within like when the pandemic like started, you know,
Okay.
everyone was at home. There wasn't like a lot of like air pollution, like no one was like going out as much.
Mhm.
So animals were like comfortable to like walk in these like areas with no harm, anything like that. Now
Oh,
it's like you're probably gonna see one on a random day and all that. Like, but like in the pandemic, you'd see like friggin' like 5, 10, like within like a first set and all that, you know? And like they're just like minding their business, not doing their thing, you know, just being harmless, you know, like just like enjoying life, just like leave them alone and all that. But it's kind of like how, you know, society kind of renegates us to like kind of value life and like take a step back either way too. And, you know, it kind of just shaped like how the environment can be something like that if we just like leave like things alone too. But there's never gonna be like a solution because we need to like live on a normal life, and that's the toxic like traits like around it, you know. So
the sad thing is you touched on an amazing point just now. We absolutely we don't need to live the way we're living. We don't. It's excessive. We're so materialistic just as a whole. It's crazy. We need these things mass produced. We need to have them when we want them. And that's kind of the issue we're having, exactly with what you just said. Yeah,
exactly,
it's kind of scary because we can say we want certain things, but as a whole, we don't want them. Does that make sense?
yeah, exactly, man.
And yeah, I'll definitely share with you.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think with the licks and all that, like it's gonna give us some time, and I think we're gonna be good for this hour and a half and all that, maybe a little bit more depending, but you know, a lot of good conversation.
I got a lot to say, brother.
Yeah, man.
I got a lot to say.
You know, we talked about Big Rico and all that. So,
Yeah.
did that name come up when you were like 250 pounds, or was that something that kind of came?
Big Rico? So originally I was Rico Death. But that was a different time period in my life. I don't want negativity around my name, no matter how it sounds. Cause I mean, Rico does sound cool, but that's not who I want to portray. Like that last name is not, good, you know. But yeah, it went straight from Rico Death to Big Rico because I wasn't having it. But yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, because I was a lot bigger. You know what I mean? But Big Rico also, you know, I took it into a way where if I like you, I refer to you as big. And women hate it, but it's like, it's an endearing thing. Like, you know, I call you big because you're part of the crew. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Women never get it, and I understand it.
Yeah.
Like calling a girl big, she's not supposed to get that.
I mean, she'll crash out either way. You know?
Yeah, she's not supposed to get that. Like, I'm probably not supposed to call her that. But I wish they would understand that because it's like me showing you love, right? Like I'm showing you that like I like you. Like you're somebody that I enjoy being around.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly, man. Oh, that's facts. And I mean, it came to like I think Rico Rare and all that. So that name transition, like how did that like come about to?
So the rare part, I came up with the rare part. I was like, I'm not doing the death thing. You know what I mean? And rare came to me. Realistically, it was my girlfriend at the time. She's like, I like the way rare sounds. Because I don't know where she came up with it, but it sounded good to me. So I went with that. And it stuck. You know. A lot of people try to make it seem like they just be given nicknames and people just call them that. But a lot of times, like, a lot of people give themselves a nickname.
Yeah.
Exactly, you know? Yeah. But I was looking for a type of name where it's my first and then we create the last. You know what I mean? And I did like I said, I tried so much different things. You know what I mean? When it came, and I was successful at almost all of them. It's just I had certain setbacks. Yeah. You know, I went certain places, you know?
Yeah. That's facts, man. And I mean, even like diving deep into like the modeling like industry too. Like I know we talked about it, like how it is like kind of like a very interesting industry too, with a lot of like stuff going on too. But even becoming a model, like diving deep into that, like were there like things that you kind of like honed in, like when it came to ideas and such like that?
So when it came to ideas, I just knew that there's only, like, realistically, especially when I'm so new, right? I knew that there was only one way for me to separate myself, and that would be the way that I style myself and style others. The way that I dress, you know. Toronto goes crazy when I put on a choker because people who look like me aren't supposed to wear stuff like that. And it's sad that it's that simple for me to separate myself, but it's actually that simple for me to separate myself. You know, and but modeling is modeling. A lot of people who know me from where they know me from, they could never expect this from me, you know? But I tell them, like, bro, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to find something different than what we was doing before?
I think that's like what kind of made people happy and all that too. Like even when we're like dealing with the mandem and all that too, like a lot of them kind of find something and they love from what they've experienced and all that. Others, it's like going goatee. Others, it's like in the telly and all that, you're doing the HHH and making like guala from that, and others, it's like a friggin' I don't know, sports betting, parlays and all that. It's like
sports betting got the people on hold right now.
Yeah.
Man. Oh my God, chokehold.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they kind of have to find something that makes them happy. Even like rapping too, like it's like if I talk to a Toronto rapper one day, like let's say I give them like 30, 40, 50 bands, I'm going to give you this much money to quit music and all that too. Like 5 seconds, like not even 5 seconds, like maybe 2 seconds, like that man's like gonna crush out saying, yo, are you dumb and all that? Like this is something that I put my life on, do, you don't know that pussy, do. That's like something that they love, just like the same with like modeling and do, or like even with the parlays, the sports betting. It's like something that when you're getting to the guap, like when you're making like mad p off that, it's like, okay, this is something that I see that's feasible, that could feed my kids, do, and you can't change that unless it's like something that kind of reinforces them to kind of take a step back from it, whether it's finding a different industry or finding like all that other stuff too, so
I agree wholeheartedly. I can't even add to it. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, man. But even with the modeling industry too, like I know there's like a lot of like misconceptions, like when it goes on to like even dealing with photographers, videographers, like even women too, that kind of get into, and like even like the cost and all that. So I don't know if you want to share that.
Misconceptions. I love this question because I get to help people out there who are looking to get in and keep a G code with y'all, right? Misconceptions, and I want to tread lightly with my words, but the industry is, the way your mind works, it can be either everything you thought it was or nothing you thought it was. For me in the beginning, like earlier last year, it was more understanding that people are working for free. They make it seem like they're getting paid, but they're working for free. And then there was another level to that. There was I want to tread lightly too, right? Because there's a lot of things going on in the industry that I need to protect people from. And I want to use moments like these to make sure people understand where I'm coming from. Misconceptions. There's a lot of things that I came upon by accident, and it's because people tried to put me down. Right? For instance, I'll say this. When it comes to the modeling industry out here in Toronto specifically, there's a certain demographic of those people that actually do make money, right? Or there's a certain amount of those people who actually do have money. Tends to be the photographers. Or they have access to money because they have good jobs, right? And everything I stumbled upon, brother, everything I came upon that was good or bad is proven. I have it. I'll show it to you if you really want it. But the industry can be everything you want it to be, and it can be everything you hated it to be, or you didn't think it was going to be. The one thing I will say is you're in competition with naked women. Like, they do it for free. So I don't see that as something that I can compete with. Sorry. Oh wow, look at this. I don't see that as something that I can compete with because there's so much naked women out there, and I don't think that my sex appeal is. I don't think I have sex appeal. I don't think I compare to that, right? But then there's another layer to this, right? When I talk about the photographers having money, right? I've uncovered a lot of different things, and it's all by accident because people thought I knew. I didn't know, but now because you think I know, and now I know, right? Touching on the photographers, when I say that they're the ones that tend to have the money or access to money, they're absolutely selling models pictures.
Shit,
they're absolutely selling models pictures to people with money. And honestly, I try to let that be known at a certain point in time, right? Because that is something very dangerous. You take your time, you think you're taking pictures, you think you're getting paid something for it, or it may be something you're networking with, right? But at the end, if your pictures get sold and you have no clue about it, I mean, that is a very scary position to be in.
Yeah.
And that's a scary position for anybody's work to be out there like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your intellectual property. There's a lot of people within this industry that are hiding a lot of things that they will destroy your career if they think you know. So that's the dark side. The light side of this is, if you like fashion, you like fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
If you like taking photos, you like taking photos, right? This is an industry just like all other industries. If you do what you're supposed to do, it can be very fruitful, right? But if you're there doing things you're not supposed to do, you probably gonna get yourself caught up.
Exactly, man. And you know what's so crazy about it too? Like, I used to actually follow a lot of model pages and all that too. I mean, basically, it's like these women are coming from these very small towns and all that, going to these certain gigs and all that too. Like, I've seen them at these events too, and even the photos that they're taking, they're taking that photo on the underpass or on the bridge, or they have that weird distilled whoto where it's all color and all that. But it's they're either wearing underwear, they're either naked, they're either covered, and when you click on the photographer's photo, it's a 40, 50-year-old white man taking a photo of that same style, or even these same corny photos, and it's these are the ones, as you said, that they're making that money, and these are also coming
whether the model's making it or not.
Yeah, and I mean, there is something that you do have to question too, what made them interested in doing these photos. Did the model request that? Did the photographer request that? Or is it kind of something different? Versus when you see other photographers, this is Eames, or even a young photographer that's doing something out of the ordinary. And all
I haven't worked with a young photographer yet.
Shit.
At all.
No one.
There's two of them that I'm supposed to work with in the next couple of weeks. One of them that I know, the other one he knows somebody that I know.
Oh, right.
So that's why they linked me. But outside of that, I have not worked with any young photographer.
It's the 45-year-old white man.
Yeah, there's been two women I worked with.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that age group is for sure older.
Yeah, and these, as you said, these are the ones with the money too. And it's what made you interested? What made you decide on doing that too? And it's still a mystery too, because inside the mind of a 45, 50-year-old white man, there's gonna be a lot of factors too. Do they get off on that? Do they feel hey, they can make the best bang for their buck and all that too? Because even then, there's gonna be repercussions where they could do the model can do a reverse Suno, hey, this guy was being creepy on the DMs, he was acting inappropriate on the shoot, do all that sort of stuff too. So they'll reverse Suno it in some way, shape, or form to.
So that's the thing about this industry, brother. Whether you're creepy or not, you're okay until somebody big says you're not. And that's the sad thing about this, because you have to realize what modeling is. Modeling is we can compare it to rapping, right? The industry, right? Everybody gets in there and they pretend that they're making money. And then when it comes time, they're crying they're not making money. No one's really working together. Everybody's getting finessed, And I uncovered quite a few scams, and that's why I can speak the way I'm speaking, right? I uncovered quite a few scams, and I'll just say there's not a lot of people that are like me that can see things like that. And even after I've seen them, they still think that it's real for them.
Okay.
But but this is anywhere, though. This is not just modeling.
It could
right?
be like the music industry. It could be entertainment. I mean, Harvey Weinstein caught up on that. R. Kelly, friggin' Spielberg, like Kevin Spacey, like everyone's like getting like caught on their tracks too. Diddy as well too. So basically, you know, it's kind of like a Pandora's box of seeing these men like at these like certain periods of their lives, like now being caught like years later, and even like women too that are kind of caught up with the like, you know, Amber Heard and all that, and
Yeah.
it just kind of like opens like a Pandora's box to see like who can we trust versus like who can we not trust, who's a reliable source versus who's an unreliable source and all that. So exactly, man, there's like a lot of factors to it. And even like to dive deep on like short term, like long term goals, do you have like any in mind in terms of your career?
For my career,
Like
what I want?
modeling or like styling and all that?
So when it comes to styling, I honestly just want like 10 solid clients. That's my actual goal. 10 solid clients to start with. I'm at 7. I think I'm close.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
10 solid clients. And from there, new goals. I want a brick and mortar.
All right.
But that's supposed to be my goal for that is November.
All right.
I have somewhere that I can use. It's just not mine. I want my own.
Okay, that's facts.
Right? And honestly, I just want to keep growing and learning. Like every day is I'm learning. Every day is something new for me. Every day is something new to add to what I already know. And that's how I view things. And that's why I say rabbit holes. I go down a lot of rabbit holes, and a lot of this has been what I would consider rabbit holes. Because for me, a rabbit hole is something I enjoy to go down.
Yeah.
I enjoy rabbit holes. Like when I say I went down that, I mean I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I like learning. I like knowing new things. Especially, I don't want to be somewhere that's so naive. Like I can just be falling for these scams that I'm telling you. I want to be able to be like, I'm not afraid if I'm what's the word these people be using? Outspoken? If that's what rubs, like if I can see through your shenanigans, if that rubs you the wrong way, it should.
Exactly.
We probably should never be in the same room again. You know what I mean? Like, I can't rub you the wrong way for being real or honest. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And do you have like a style that you enjoy in terms of like modeling? Do you do like runway, print, commercial?
A style that I enjoy? I can't say because I'm so new, right? Like everything is to me is just modeling. Right. And I'm like I said, like I'm not really a model. I be modeling though, right? But honestly, I just want to. As long as I have free reign to put on what I want to put on, which has always been, I'm always having a fun time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I'm learning, and I'm networking, and I'm meeting new people.
That's facts, man. Nah, I definitely agree too. And I mean, even like for your first like modeling gig, did you like approach it like very differently, like in the process?
Yes.
Oh, true.
Yes. So for most things outside of this podcast, I would never drink. I would never, I show up early each time. So that first gig for sure, I was like maybe 2 hours early. Just to make sure I was there, Right. And they just so happened to be setting up. So, it all worked. I got to help and we got to work and do whatever, right? But for me, that like to start being early and networking is the biggest thing for me, and then trying to remain, 'cause, listen, you can't ensure that people see you as humble. You can't ensure nothing. People look at my clothes and think that I think I'm better than them, straight up and down. And it's like, I don't even spend money on my clothes the way you think I do, first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
And clothes don't make anyone better than anybody. I don't even know why people think that way, but they do think that way. So I have certain things that I do, the way that I carry myself that, I try to ease the room. If it work, it work. If it don't, it don't. But I just hope that they can see that I'm not. Yeah, I don't think that way. That's it.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And
clothes are like I said, threads. That's it. Like, threads don't make nobody. don't make nobody.
Even within like the inclusivity and all that too, because like now there's like plus size like clothing and like also stuff for like
Yeah.
big and tall and all that. And you think it's like very inclusive, like in that sense?
Absolutely. The industry is absolutely inclusive, especially right now. Inclusive for men, ha. For women, absolutely. I don't know if the American industry might be different. I haven't tapped into that market, right? But I know for sure women can be of all variety, but men kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's very small.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are supposed to be taller. We are supposed to, and that's kind of the way they look at it. They kind of want 6'1" and up sometimes. You know what I mean?
Or 6'5", you know, like Victor Wembanyama and all that.
Yeah.
Yo, or yeah, I kind of
he got De'Aaron Fox now, so he might get a little playoff run now. So
yeah, man. You know what's so crazy, because they have like the double standards on like overweight people and all that too.
Yeah.
You know, they'll praise people like Lizzo and like friggin'
oh yeah,
like Cupcake, like all those like other artists, all those other artists.
I don't know Cupcake.
But like
wait, is he the country artist?
No, Cupcake's
a guy,
female rapper from Chicago and all that. But I mean, even friggin' Adele, like at one point laced Big Rico at like one point for being overweight. She lost like all that weight, like fortunately and all that. But then they'll shit on like Rick Ross, like Dave Blunt's. You know, like Dave Blunt's, he has like this song.
I don't.
If you go on TikTok, there's like a thing that says, I can't put down the cup. I can't put down the cup. Fat, overweight black kid, like very overweight, like obese, like black kid with like a black and like purple like tracksuit and all that. He was actually sitting down at one of his concerts one day, and basically he was just, I can't put down the cup, I can't put down the cup, I can't put down the cup, I can't put down, but like an autotune, no? Like you'll see the
okay, so it's no, I needs to.
Yeah.
Oh, and wait,
that's the guy I'm talking about.
He looks like one of the comedians there that I used to watch.
Lavelle Crawford.
Yeah.
Yo, if you go on every freaking IG page, Facebook, YouTube, they're shitting on this guy. So they're not gonna do the same for like fucking Lizzo and all that.
But there's you see the Detroit girl there though. The Uber.
Dank the Moss, yeah.
She gets mad love.
Yeah.
So the difference, honestly, I don't think men and women are supposed to be treated the same.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're supposed to have the same standards. So some of it makes sense and most of it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Where it starts to make less sense to me is when we start comparing the two. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Right? I could never expect the same from me as I do a woman. And her expecting the same from me, vice versa, it's crazy. So listen, I think people should be who they want to be. But I also think people should also be realistic to themselves. That way other people can't really hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? You just know who you are, because like, I don't know how other people portray themselves. Everybody likes to be like, oh, I don't judge. I judge. I absolutely judge. That's actually how we defend ourselves. That's how we make sure that we're going to be safe. We judge, right? We judge, is the street safe to walk across? Is this food safe to eat? Is these clothes going to ruin my skin in a way where it'll give me a rash and I have to scratch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry.
I know.
We judge everything. Maybe y'all don't. I judge everything I see, right? I judge the water. I judge my shoes, right? Is there holes in the bottom?
Yeah.
But people try to make it seem like we shouldn't judge, and it's like, oh, only God can judge. That's a very known saying, you know that.
Yeah, exactly.
But how are you protecting yourself by not judging? Like, what life are we living that we're going to pretend we're not judging? I judge.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not afraid to say that, because that's a defense mechanism for all humans.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. And I think it's like knowing like how you communicate with people, because usually like first impressions, you know, that's where we tend to like evaluate, like notice the people and all that. And like, it takes time, you know, if you're only seeing them once versus if you're seeing them like almost like every other day, like, you know, what they eat, like what they wear and all that, you know, if they shaved and all that. Like there's days where if I try to shave and all that, or if I try to like do something like a little bit different too, like lose some weight for a bit, or like even like change my hairstyle too, like do people like notice it? Like do they see the first impressions, or is it something that they're so like used to that it kind of like takes into? So it's like
Yeah.
like reading the room, like analyzing for a bit too, body language too. So fun fact, I'm actually taking a public speaking class right now, and like one of the main things that I'm like really like taking in is like body language and like eye contact too. So even when you like look at someone, even when you assess their behavior and all that, you figure out if they're comfortable, if they're fine and all that, if they're looking at you, you see like if they actually are caring or paying attention within that moment and all that too. And like, it like works well with like life too, because it could also like lead to better impressions with other people, and leading on to better opportunities as well too. So exactly. But
I agree with that. Listen, any way that we can improve, we should improve. We should try at bare minimum, right? So, like I told you, I love that you were willing to admit that you're doing those classes, right? Like that's what we need. I think the lack of transparency, especially within like entertainment industries, is the reason why like a lot of kids, teenagers, young adults are really messed up. The people on TV or YouTube or whatever the case is, the faces that they're actually watching are portraying a lifestyle of money they're not making, sexy people they're not having sex with.
yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of false realities, right? That's why I try to make sure people understand that these are just threads. Like your perception of how much they cost mean nothing to what they actually cost.
Yeah.
They can cost $1 million in your head. Is that what you really think? Right? We have to get to a certain place where we're able to work together, speak to each other, and learn from each other. And that's why I'm so adamant about the color thing, because it don't matter. Remove the color, remove the light. We can't talk?
Still talking, like lights off, like you'll still have like a better conversation even if you don't see them, because like that's when you're at your most like vulnerable and all that too, but yeah, exactly. I definitely agree too.
1,000%.
And like I don't know if you have like any like favorite designers or brands and all that, or like that doesn't like matter and all that.
I absolutely have favorite local brands for sure, like that I prefer. But I will say this, I don't like logos. I want to be very clear. So a few shout outs that I got for some brands that I love is absolutely paying homage, a tour hustle, trying to remember the name. His name is Rock the Designer. I absolutely love his clothes. I don't think he has an official name for the clothing. I think he's kind of like Rock Designs.
All right.
Amazing. And I'll shout out two more. We the Vibe. I love We the Vibe. And one more to make, and these are all local brands, by the way, Toronto brands. You know what? For the last one, I'll just say I like to keep it plain. I don't like logos, so I seek out things that aren't really too flashy. Just
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and when you see me, you'll see me in most things that are plain.
Yeah, no, I definitely do too. I have like some favorite like local brands too for a bit. Nice, like they do like the track suits and like some of the hats and all that. Like they're pretty dope.
NIZE?
NISE, yeah, exactly. Cash Feelings, they're also like pretty dope too. Like they created like the viral hat. But yeah, there's like this other guy named like Ugly Worldwide that does like the balaclavas and like the hoodies and all that. Like I wore like one one of his like hoodies on a couple like of the podcasts and all that too, and like it has like a good style, like good fit to it. So definitely recommend as well too. So
the Cash Feelings, I heard of that one.
Yeah, I know the CEO, like the founder, like he also runs his own podcast called, I think, the Cash like Feeling Show. He had like Nana Goody, he had freaking like AR Paisley, Bullies last interview before he passed away, and like a lot of other people too. So
I think I watched those. Yeah, the Bully last one there.
Exactly, man. And I mean, even like with your personal style too, do you like incorporate like elements of your personal style into your modeling work, and like even like your personal style, like even like describing like the personal style like outside of like modeling?
I do. I try to as best I can. I can't really be specific to what my personal style is when it comes to like, you asked me about posing, right?
Yeah.
I honestly like, I just tried to come up with something new that I thought was new for me. But I will say working with women is very stressful for me. Like, I'm scared. This industry is different. I want y'all to know. And these women have the opportunity to make and break you. They can lie on your name. They can tell the truth. Doesn't matter. What they say will be facts.
Yeah.
So I don't know what my personal style is when it comes to like standing in front of that camera because, like I say, I'm very new to modeling, right? So those things are new to me. Posing, specifically posing, but I just try to keep it Rico, and I don't try to like watch others and see what they're doing and try to imitate that. Try to do me.
That is 100% facts and all that too. Like I definitely like agree as well, and you know, always got to be like yourself, like either way too. Because I think even with some models too, they want to like play like an image sometimes that they see, and like they're seeing like Rosario Dawson, or they're seeing
Absolutely.
like a iconic photo shoot from Vogue or from all these other platforms. But that's their style, that's their entity and all that. You know, like you have to like figure out what fits you like the best to like what makes you comfortable, and you just gotta rock with it. You know, like you know you gotta like define your own swag like either way. You know, so
I think within modeling, because the modeling is the way it is, a lot of people won't have their own style because most people are the people that are making money are working with brands, right? So they're specifically having to wear those brands. That's why I don't feel like I'm in anybody's lane and no one's in my lane because for the most part, I put on what I want to put on and I look the way I want to look. A lot of people like they can't because, and I'll use Tiger Woods for an example. He put on a Reebok sweater and they told him, take that off. Are you crazy? We will charge you $100 million.
shit, that's crazy. And like that was like with the Nike deal and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's what happens when you get sponsored instead of a partnership or, you know, right? This is what happens.
and you know, like that's kind of like the fact because it's like kind of like a slave, like contract slave deal. You know, you have to kind of wear that clothes. You know, unless like necessary to. You know, you can't like wear it like outside. You can't be from like a pop shot, like you know, like a paparazzi shot, and like they catch you like lacking in it. You know, because like we're gonna see one way or another and all that too, and like money on the line, like we're feeding your families too, and like I think because like that's why within like when they get like their come up and all that, like with like athletes and like rappers and musicians and models and all that too, like a lot of people tend to become like predatory in whatever they can, like whether it's through a sponsorship or whether it's through opportunities and all that too, because like they look at that like as like a leg too, because they'll reinforce different ideas from how prisoners are looking at like inmates, and they'll try to like hone that in, but like more in a conservative, in a more safe style and all that, where it's not as like obvious as much too, but it's like, you know, we're like treading lightly, like we're 10 steps ahead, you know, like basically like whatever you do, we're gonna see it like either way. We'll buy like the coverage, we'll analyze it in real time too. Like if we have like a friend that's, you know, an intel for our company and all that, they're gonna be around and they're gonna like see you and they're gonna give like comments and all that, and it hits like differently and all that too. And like, you know, a lot of factors, you know, it's like even with different clauses on like what you can do, what you can't do, like how you should wear it, like how it should be clean, like all that type of stuff too. A lot of factors, and like it's like lawsuits and like all that other stuff too. So a lot of factors, you know.
I'll say that everyone is shutting everyone down right now. You're not really allowed to tell the truth. Telling the truth can get you shunned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Protecting others is not the way to go. I was literally told to protect myself.
Yeah.
That's not how I operate. It's not how I operate. Right? Especially when you think of what I told you how I was raised, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What my parents told me, my family told me. Doesn't it sound like I should look out for others? Like, doesn't it sound like we should look out for each other?
Exactly, yeah.
It doesn't make no God. Like, how am I supposed to go through something, right? I can see what's happening. Don't let it happen to me. Then I just let it go down and let it happen to you. That don't make no sense to me. That don't make no sense to me. Like, at bare minimum, I say it so you can hear it and you make your own decision. I can't force you to do nothing. But yo, this was my experience. This is exactly what I saw happen here, and it's exactly what others are saying too. Yo, grain of salt. Do what you do though.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree too. And like, it's like, you figure out you're either like kind of like standing in your own words, or you're gonna like fall in line like to see like where it goes and all that. And it's it all depends on like how you use your courage and all that too. Because I think some of the most like outspoken and like righteous like models, or even creatives, or even like public figures, like they're willing to take that risk to do whatever they can, even if it means like being like outcasted, or like being like typed out of the way and all that. Like,
Oh yeah.
like with Cap and all that too, because like when he took that kneel, that was like a risk for what he was like building up to, but his integrity and values are still there and all that. Like either way, like even with some celebrities like Kai Cenat, like he's gonna unoffensively like be himself and all that, even if people are gonna like look at him the other way, even if he's like dealing with like controversies and all that, he's still gonna be himself. He's still gonna be smiling, happy,
I agree.
like on the stream the next day and all that too. He's not gonna like that let that affect him. But with a lot of people, like they've seen like what Hollywood is, and like they see how these corrupted cultures and entities are. So, and they know that it's like a lot of money like on the line and all that. So it's like you gotta fall like in line in one way. And even like Kanye too, even like when he had like his issues with like Adidas and like Nike and all that too, he's still like doing his like own thing too, like whether like blackballed or not and all that. And with others, they can't say the same too, because they know that money like works either way, and money talks, and it leads them to that right path and all that. So
but the thing with me is that if I get it, money talks, but like if money is everything, we have an issue.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of where we are right now, right? Like women's behavior, men's behavior, right? Men are leading with money. Women are saying, if you don't have money, I'm not talking to you.
Exactly.
What's the logical in between here? Like we as a society see everything as money. Like, where do we go from there? Money was only supposed to be beneficial. It wasn't supposed to be everything.
Yeah.
Like, we need money, but like it wasn't supposed to be everything. You're out here making kids, and you're out here working, and you're out here building houses, and money wasn't supposed to be everything. It was a tool.
It's kind of like a mechanism and all this, but like I think like when it overcame like everything else too, like that's what you have to see like one way or another. You're seeing like that dollar bill and all that, because they know like how with everything that they need, it's like a lot of stuff they have to value. So it's like the idea of like wants and needs and all that. So needs being your rent, your mortgage, your food, child support, versus like your wants and all that, your public image, the way like people need to see, look, the way you're driving, the way do. Like they see that with that, like it helps like build the image, because with the wants, it could lead to other like needs and all that, because driving that big car, having that big house, it's gonna lead to other opportunities.
V8 engine, yeah.
Like some people are using their cars for car shows and all that, and they're getting paid for that because they know that it's gonna lead to like a bigger like value, like either way too. And like I could even say the same for the Toronto like and GTA creative scenes, like even with music and all that too, because these like Toronto rappers are renting out cars, vans that they don't own, they don't drive, the spinners as well.
Same with the Americans, yeah.
Yeah. And they see that, that value talks, it leads to opportunities like, hey bro, you're cool, you're do. Like I like the music. I see that music video, like I see like you're living like that. I want to rent you out, like I want to get you for a show and all that, because they know money talks. It's like it's kind of like a cycle, like a spin cycle and all that too. Like if you do what leads you to get into that right moment, I'm gonna give you twice as much like opportunities. Sorry for spitting. It's twice as much like opportunities for you to do whatever you want, even if it's gonna be like shit change and all that too, because they know that the image has a like value, and that image is like coming from money. Like without like that money, that image isn't going to happen one way or another and all that. So,
like I said, money is a tool, and I this is how I look at life, right? Came in this earth, I didn't do much to change it, and that's where I have a lot of late nights with myself, right? we live in a very selfish world. We live in a world where, things are truly about money. I didn't come in here and change the things that I wanted to change. There's a lot of people who have nowhere to live. We should be able to help those people, right?
Exactly.
But it's not that simple. I wish it was that simple because you know what? The way people speak is like, yeah, okay, but at the end of the day, somebody ran the pipes. Water can't be free, sorry. You can go to the lake and get water. That should be free. But like someone ran the pipe, someone paid to put that there. Someone actually did the labor to put the pipes there. Make the water run from the lake to your house. That service, sorry, it can't be free. We have to understand business and we have to understand economics in a certain degree. That's why I believe in what you were saying earlier, the financial, the classes on the financial literacy, right?
Yeah.
Because we do need to understand, yes, we want socialism and we want people to have things for free. But if people are putting in labor, we kind of gotta understand to a degree, like,
exactly.
Like, I would love to say things like deodorant should be free, but somebody made it, which means somebody paid for the materials.
Yeah, exactly.
That can't be free.
Even the milk and all that too. Even the friggin' toilet paper, it's made from a factory. Like it leads to someone like having that patent, like having that organized materials needed, like knowing the trademarks. You're gonna need. I need a bag just because you've wiped your ass and all that too. Like just because you've wiped your ass, I still need that bread. Even if it's like a necessary thing that can help to cleanliness, help to kind of organize like certain structure, within the human structure, within like not having like these like rashes and all that too, and all that sort of stuff. And it leads on to like the idea, like what's a want and what's like a need and all that too, because some people, when they value like certain wants, they look at it as like needs versus what actual needs are, like, nourishment, the idea of sleep. You need like 6 to 10 hours of sleep, like almost like every other day, to kind of function, without like, that access of sleep, you're not going to be your best self, like if you're not eating breakfast at the beginning of the morning, you're not going to be at your best self, you're going to be agitated, tired, you're not going to fulfill the task to kind of even make that want that you need and all that, so. Exactly, man. I talked about the Toronto GTA creative like scene for a bit too. Like, what's your opinion on that?
Toronto, I think we have a lot of different creatives. What I will say, we have a lot of gatekeeping though. That's what I don't like because it doesn't allow for authentic new people, right? Which means it just means that if you're known and you know people, that will just keep knowing you. And that I don't like because then there's people who have actual impact. As I told you, I love impactful people, but we're never going to get to see them.
Yeah.
Because they're gatekeeping.
Exactly. I started comment on Extra Gravy, like when they had Blickhead on, and I know Blickhead was trying to spit like a 1-2 and all that. And
you saw my comment.
Exactly. And like you realize, this is like the same formula that they've used for chromas with Plush,
1,000%.
with Snow Day, all that type of stuff. So, turning Toronto into a joke, and the gatekeepers caught you on and called you out. So,
but the thing is, right? This is the problem. They'll bring her on, right? But then when she actually gets big enough, they're gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" But you were the one who put her on. That's why I use Friday as an example because Friday put Plush on, basically.
Yeah.
Right? But then turned around and made it seem like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. Who even put you here? Why can we even... But you put her on so much podcasts. You put her on so much... You actually made her a face. You made her be known by 6 months. This is what I don't like about these things, right? It's like, it's a two-sided coin. We're always signing contracts and saying, yes, we're going to do this. And then when it happens, we're upset at the outcome. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. You put her on. Don't act like you don't know why she's here. She's here because you put her on. Like, what are we talking about?
100% too. You want to know what's so crazy? She was never on like an actual podcast like that with Friday. That man was just like rambling, like, this is my view on Plush. Like, I think she's going to be like that next face with Snow Day and all that too. And then like when he notices it doesn't benefit, he's going to shit, either way, But
that's the same thing to me though. Putting her on is the same thing. Because when you make somebody the conversation, you're bringing eyes to that person.
Yeah.
So, if he didn't have those conversations, Would Plush be as big as Plush is? Like, would we? So for him to turn around and be like, "Oh, who are you? We don't even know you." No, we know her because of you. Like,
Exactly.
like, I don't like that culture where it's like, yo, I'm gonna make you big and then I'm gonna shit on you. Like, I don't like that.
Because it reinforces cancel culture and all that.
She was okay while she was okay. Now she's no longer okay, and it's like I don't like that. I don't like it. You should have not been cool with her the whole time, or been cool with her the whole time. Plain and simple.
Same with the American stuff too, with Krishan Rock. You know, like
I know very little about that stuff. I promise. The Krishan Rock and Blue.
I'm glad you don't know her because I've been like reading like the Krishan Rock lore since Blueface had that like fucking show and all that, and I thought like Blueface would have cut her off like when she got into jail like the first time and all that, but he made her into a cash cow. And
but it's his child's mother. How is he gonna cut her? Like realistically, when you just think about that, how's he gonna cut her off? He can't.
I doubt that's even like the child's like father, like in some cases too, because they've had like those like complaints and all that. But
everybody says that. But you know what? I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's who they think is the father.
Exactly, man. Yo, who do you think might replace Friday? Like I know that you had like your views on Friday too, like with him not being an accessory to the culture. Do you feel like someone should replace Friday?
No. I don't think anyone should replace him. I just disagree with the way he went about the Plush situation because he was the one to absolutely say, hey, the first person to say, yo, I have a big platform, come sit down with me. And then to turn around and be like, why are you even in the industry? It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, you're the fault. Listen, I have no issue with Friday. Not that I know of. Because I don't really watch his show either like that. Too tough. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like everyone can say that too, like in some cases too. But hey, you know, a spade's a spade either way, you know? So
a spade is a spade to me. Yeah, that's why I'm like, to me, it's not being outspoken. It's just telling the truth. To me, that's what it is. Just telling the truth.
Yeah, that's facts, man. As far as like cancel culture and like social media, like how do you feel about those?
I don't like cancel culture. I don't like cancel culture at all.
All right.
At all. Nobody is universally loved and nobody is universally hated. Right? Which means there's people today who still love Hitler.
Yeah.
There's people today who still hate Martin Luther King. Like I could go down the list. There is nobody who's universally loved and universally hated. There's people who absolutely are disgusted at Gandhi's name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could say the same thing with Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump still has MAGA, still has
absolutely
all these like white people and all these other confused POC going to his rallies and all that, supporting him as like president and all that. And then there's going to be others that are shitting on Barack Obama, having these like dumbass conspiracy theories about him being from another country, him not being really like Hawaiian, African American, something like that. He had like a Muslim last name, even though that's like full on bullshit. But
being able to just be like, I don't like you, let's not listen to you or talk to you is crazy.
Yeah,
that is like, come on. I don't even like, come on. One, my decision is gonna lead all these people to say like, not deal with you. Come on, man. I ain't with that.
It's all sensationalism too, you know, because they feel like, you know, someone that relates to me is gonna speak up for me. These confused fucking white people are looking at Trump like, this is the Messiah, this is Jesus Christ, this is fucking God. That orange piece of shit is not fucking God. He's just a motherfucker that's gonna die within the next 5-6 years and all that too, is like mentally incapable to do like a lot of things too. And I mean, it's even evident right now with some of these like bullshit like orders that he's like trying to sign to, but people are gonna agree. And I mean, there were like other presidents that kind of had better plans too, but a lot of people have like that higher voice, like, hey, this guy's like the one. I don't care about such and such and such and such and such. That's why the whole like House and the Senate and all that it's a complete shit show. So I'm not gonna lie.
When it comes to politics, for sure, especially American politics, because everybody cares about American politics. They don't really care about their own country politics, right? Like Canada, I truly think cares more about American politics, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is back to not being universally loved or universally hated.
Yeah.
Right? We can think what we want of Trump, we can think what we want of Obama, but like they're going to be who they're going to be regardless because we're just individuals, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's just I just don't think, I don't want to live in a world where just because I say don't like somebody, you don't like them. I don't want to be there. That's not cool. I could give you my experience, like I said earlier, right? And you make your decision.
Yeah.
I never want to be the reason to just be like, yo, I don't like this person, so you don't like them either. That's not decision making. That's not right.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't believe in cancel culture, right? Because just because you say something that's messed up today doesn't mean like that's who you truly are. Like it could be messed up to people, but I don't think it doesn't always have to be messed up, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could agree to disagree and all that too. Like, I don't agree with how some people say like certain viewpoints, but I'm not gonna shit on them and like kind of like disregard like their opinion as it is. Like, I want to see like, all right, like let's have a discussion about it. Like, what makes that right? What makes that like not right too? Like, even with the whole idea of like friends and all that too, because there's like a lot of factors to it. Like, I want to like dive deep and like figure out like what we could like exemplify and all that too, and like even friggin' there's like a movie that I want to recommend too, Blood Diamonds. It has
Yeah, I watched that.
Hansu and Leonardo DiCaprio. Talks about the idea of diamonds in Sierra Leone, so definitely recommend that for people that want to watch it. But it kind of gives like a better intake on this conversation, like the value of a product. Like, does it cost like more than your life and all that too? Because these young kids in Africa finding these diamonds, they're getting guns pulled on them from friggin'
absolutely
like soldiers that only see that profit and all that too, because the idea of like money being an image and all that too. So,
but do you see why that like I try to like not do the race thing, because who is putting the guns to them?
It's black people,
That's why I don't like the race conversation, because when it shows up in certain ways, some people who look like me will justify it.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll point the finger over here. I don't like it. Certain things, like, because if it's wrong here, it should be wrong here. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing in Russia and in like Estonia, where they're doing that same shit too. Like, whether it's like a different like industry and all that, because
I agree.
It's all over the world, whether it's in Asia
Absolutely
with the shoes, whether it's in Africa with the diamonds, whether it's in Russia with the wood and like all the other equipment. It's a same pipeline that's going on until the day we fucking die. So,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up?
Because you said black people, right? When we were talking about Africa just now, right? Is it your understanding that people in Africa identify as black? For the average person, not just one or two.
I mean, a lot of them do tend to have like a national like desire and all that too. East Africans too. Like, I'm Ethiopian. I'm still gonna identify as black, but there's a lot of other Ethiopians and Eritreans, Sudanese people that don't see themselves as black. They're all about like their nationality and all that too, because like they hold that pride.
But that's what I'm gonna ask you though. If you weren't here, is being seen as black a big thing in Ethiopia?
I mean, it depends on the circumstance too, because it's like different cultures too. Because Ethiopia, like if you're talking about Abashas, Oromos, friggin' Tigres, like they're gonna say like, "Hey, I'm not black." Like, it's like, I know black, I'm Dominican, like that type of stuff too, because it's the idea of like pride and all that. Whereas in other like sovereign like regions, like they're gonna identify like, yeah, I'm black. You're gonna see with the skin and all that too. Like, at the end of the day, if I walk by and a cop sees me, he's gonna see like a white police officer or an Asian police officer.
I always hear the cop reference, but that's the cop, right? So can we talk about a different reference other than the cop?
For sure.
Okay, so let's say a Zimbabwean and a Kenyan.
All right.
Right? Those are not the same people, correct?
Yeah, it's two different cultures,
Now, Italian and let's say Yugoslavian.
Different cultures,
But we will put the two African countries together as one. Because two European countries, we totally understand they're different.
Yeah, because of the different perspectives and all that too, because they're going to see skin color like either way too. They're not going to see, like, even like cadences too, like how a Nigerian speaks and how they eat is going to be different from how a Ghanaian like speaks and all that too, or like face structures, all that sort of stuff too. And it's, from time to time too, like I know with Ghanaians, like they're more like scruffier and all that. Nigerians kind of have like a little bit of a swag to how they look.
Funny you say that now.
But it's kind of like all that stuff too. But I definitely agree too, because it's like the idea of like public perception, how we're going to be seen to the public too, because a white person or an Asian person's not going to see a difference between an Ethiopian versus like a Nigerian.
You're right.
Like they're going to see, hey, this is one black person versus another black person. Whereas if you see like an Eastern European, like a Ukrainian versus someone from France and all that, two different cultures, because of what they see and all that, like the mediums and all that too, whether it's through TV, whether it's through movies. Because you're not going to see African movies on a daily basis,
No,
the white
you have
audience
to seek those out.
yeah, exactly. But I know like we might have to like come to an end soon. But what would be like some great advice that you would give to any like aspiring like model or creative out there that wants to be in your footsteps?
In my footsteps, I would just say know what you're doing. Actually do your research. And one thing I've learned to do is make sure that like whether it's a networking event, whether you're getting paid, no matter what it is, check the photographer's page before you work with them. Especially if you're a man, right? Because girls they naturally just want to get naked for the camera. I honestly don't know what it is about this new culture, but that's what it is, right? And but if that's not something you're willing to do, you need to check photographers' pages before you work with them.
Man.
That is like number one for me at this point, because if I see a bunch of naked women, I know there's no work here to be done.
Yeah.
This is not something you want to work with. You don't want to work with me. Right? And you're not going to give me good work. I'm not a woman. I don't have the features of a woman. So, right, when working with, especially if you're a man, you need to understand that, right? Women get priority, and not women. Naked women get priority, because there are women who look great in turtlenecks and pants, right, or whatever. They're fully covered. They're also not getting the same opportunity. 100%. So you just have to know what you're doing, bro. And if you're here, work hard, do your thing, and know they will try to get you.
Exactly.
And this is the one thing I will say, right? We look at certain industries, like we'll see Hollywood, and it makes sense why certain things happen there because they have money. But that's happening all over the world. It's happening here in Toronto. It's happening everywhere in the world. That's what I will put out there. Protect yourself. Make sure you got contracts, and make sure you're doing your due diligence.
Exactly. And I definitely agree too. And as far as like stuff going on this year, do you have any like in terms of like any creative projects, ideas, and so forth? And do you have any like closing remarks?
So for what I'm doing, I will be opening the studio latest November. The actual aim is for July, but the latest November. That's what we discussed. And it would be a multifaceted studio as well, right? So photos, music, whatever the case is. If we can record it, I want to do it in the space. Even if you want like an engagement, anything like that. That's what I want to do. But that is in the works for it's supposed to be September, but as I put in the contract November the latest.
Okay.
That's my goal for this year. My major goal for this year. Other goals, I got small goals, like, I'm also trying to fully launch my clothing line. It's not going to be just a print on hoodies or print on crew necks, t-shirts. It will be different materials. It will be, I got some hats. I don't want to give y'all too much, but it's nothing y'all really seen before, right? And that's kind of what I want to do. It's and as y'all can see, I mix streetwear with a lot of different things. So I can't just be like, oh, it's gonna be streetwear, it's gonna be professional. No, it's a mixture. It's a mixture, right? Like I told you, bikers, rockers, and then street professionalism too, right? But that's where my influence comes from. Yeah,
it's facts, man. Yo, Rico, it's dope to have you on, man.
It's amazing being here.
I mean, I think we've answered every question without even like diving deep to like every question, because I think every question, it kind of says for itself and all that. And, it was just a great conversation too, with education, knowledge, everything else too. Even with like me being drunk, which is like kind of like a rarity for the most part too. Like usually with a lot of pods, I kind of do it sober, but just wanted to make the hour and a half like a little bit perfect. But I mean, we got through with a great conversation, dive deep, and it was all amazing to kind of get that insight, that knowledge, that rebuttal, and definitely have you back, man.
Thank you, appreciate it. It's always great to have conversations like this where it's just the back and forth, and there's no tension.
Yeah, agree to disagree. Like as we mentioned like earlier too, and like I mean, they could follow you at Big Rico Fashion, right?
Big Rico Fashion Stylist, yeah. I mean, I got a few smaller pages, Big Rico X model, but yeah, that is the main page.
All right, man. Yo, definitely have you back on, but this is Josh, also known as Yashu. another episode of TLOY Talks. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, Patreon, much more. Definitely book Rico if you want to do like some photos and all that too. Definitely work with him. If you have a creative idea
Appreciate
in
that.
mind too, this is like one of the young visionaries in the game. Like definitely like tap into, and Josh, also known as the Yashu, Rico Rare, signing off.
Yeah. Shout out the guy behind the scenes. Love ya.